We've all seen the most amazing reptile collections on the internet, and I'm sure some of us would love to have them, but the barrier to entry is money. So what if I gave you $10,000? Today, we're gonna make the ultimate perfect reptile collection for $10,000. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles, stick around. Okay, so I like to get ideas from the Discord and the comment section below. I don't know why I stuttered on that. So one of you decided, hey, there's this guy who makes watch videos, Nico Leonard. I watch that guy too, and he makes these cool collections of watches for $10,000. I'm like, okay, what if we did that for reptiles? What if we had the perfect $10,000 reptile collection, or $5,000 or $1,000 if you want me to make those videos? But let's go with 5 reptiles. So you're getting 5 reptiles. Not the craziest morphs, but maybe the craziest species. Maybe not the most flashy, but you want to cover all your bases. You want something that's handleable. You want a snake and a lizard. You want to make sure that you have something that is really awe-inspiring and wow factor when people walk in your reptile room. And the $10,000 is for the animals, not the enclosures and everything else. This is for fun, hypothetical. Don't go ahead and get these reptiles because I said so. This is for fun. Don't go out and rush your collection. I have for sure over $10,000 invested in reptiles, but it took me 10 years to do. Oh, and all these reptiles I'm finding on Morph Market. I'll show the actual ad so you see the actual price. They're all captive bred, which is a stipulation, and this isn't for breeding. It's just for kind of like having a zoo in your house, basically. Okay, starting off with number 1. Let's go cheap. Let's not spend too much money off the bat. Let's get a frilled dragon. Now, you guys know, I don't know why, Diamond, hold on. Okay, frilled dragon. If I'm gonna go ahead and talk about frillies, I might as well have Tilly the frilly, you know what I mean? So, frilled dragons, there's 2 different types. Now, we're gonna talk about Australian frilled dragons, although this is an Indonesian. Indonesians, a little bit drabber color. Australians generally are a little bit bigger. And of course, these guys have a more red throat as well. Now, Tilly is pretty calm and tame, so she's not gonna frill out, but just in case you thought I was lying, this is a frilled dragon, I promise. The reason I think they're amazing is because they're these beautiful arboreal animals that are insectivores. They're very active, they're diurnal. You can give them very showy display enclosures, and it ticks off some boxes. I always like to have certain animals from certain regions. I like to have an animal from Australia, and then I like to have a bunch of animals from Central America. So this is the Australian animal that we're going to be talking about today. And of course, it has a more arid type setup. Now, not super arid, they don't come from deserts, but I'm saying it's not 70% humidity like a boa constrictor, for example. So frilled dragons, in my opinion, are the coolest looking lizards that most people can own, that are really reasonable for most people to own. These guys, I mean, they frill up, they look crazy. I mean, they're a little bit kind of squirmy, a little bit more squirmy than Diamond, which is why Diamond's easier to deal with when I'm filming these videos. But in general, you feed them a bunch of bugs, you give them a hot spot, you give them some UVB, and they're happy animals. And I'm really lucky that I have Tilly the frilly. Is really a bucket list animal for me. I finally got one and I wanted to show her off. So that means that we have 9,100 bucks left. So let's go out and get a Brazilian Rainbow Boa. Now, I have a Brazilian Rainbow Boa. Also, I just got one. Very crazy story. I was in the reptile shop the other day. Some guy walks up to me. Hey, love your channel. I got a Brazilian Rainbow Boa, want to trade it for one of the animals that I have. I'm like, okay, cool. So now I have a Brazilian Rainbow Boa. Like, super random. Did not know this guy was going to be there. Either way, these animals have really dropped in price as of recently. Now, I'm going to use American prices. I'm going to go with Morph Market, who is today's sponsor, by the way. We'll talk about that more in a second. But on Morph Market, I found really reasonable ones. And I'm talking about, I don't want babies, right? None of these are going to be babies. They're going to be at least juvenile, something that's showy, something that shows up and it looks beautiful in an enclosure that you don't have to like hunt for with your eyes. So Brazilian Rainbow Boa, 400 bucks is the ad that I found right here. An amazing species. They get relatively big, you know, something around 5 feet, somewhere around there, you know, give or take a foot or two, or a foot on either end is what I should say. They are robust, so they're handleable, but they're not scary, and they're not going to be able to really hurt you, even if they were to think you were food or something. Plus, the Brazilian Rainbow Boa is called the Brazilian Rainbow Boa because, well, look at it. It's this shiny iridescence in the sunlight. It looks amazing. And of course, they have the most beautiful coloration of maybe any snake that isn't venomous. So a handleable snake that looks beautiful, it doesn't take up too much space. You could do, say, a 4 by 2 by 2 foot enclosure, something like that. They like it really humid, but feeding them is easy. You know, thaw out a rat every week. and you're good to go. And just in my opinion, it's another bucket list species that I finally own, and it doesn't really break the bank. So if my math is correct, we have $8,700 left. So let's get a little bit more spicy with the pricey. That was dumb. I'm so sorry. Sanzinia Volani is what I'm going to go with here. So this is a Sanzinia or Malagasy tree boa, Madagascar tree boa. I don't know why they're called, like, anything that's Madagascar is Malagasy. They're Malagasy people. They speak Malagasy. Anyway, I found some of these in Madagascar. And let me tell you, it was one of the highlights of the trip. You guys know I love Dumer's boas. Dumer's boas are a ground boa from Madagascar. Sanzinia are a tree boa from Madagascar. They look somewhat, sort of, kind of similar, but not too similar. And of course, one, the Sanzinia, is going to be in the trees. Now, these are a much more expensive animal. I found this example for $2,400. So $2,400 US. Now, this leaves us a lot of money still, but the reason you'd want a Sanzinia is they're usually pretty handleable. I mean, we found these ones in the wild, and I just picked them up. I mean, they bit Mike Taitula, but they didn't bite me. So, I don't know, maybe you smelled bad, Mike. I don't know what happened to you. But either way, I think that an absolutely amazing animal, amazing species. I'm so freaking happy that I got to see one of these in the wild. But to have one in captivity, they're pretty pricey. And in Canada, they're almost impossible to find and very expensive. So, I mean, we're talking like more than this by a lot. So I don't have one yet, but I would love to. And I think this is the perfect showpiece if you're looking for something your friends don't have that can be in a decent sized enclosure that's arboreal, then you can kind of kit it out so that it's kind of like a rainforest, which is where they come from. I just think they're amazing. I want to say a special thanks to Morph Market for helping me with this. They are the sponsor of today's episode, the largest international marketplace for reptiles, amphibians, inverts, and aquatics online. US, Canada, Mexico, Europe, South Africa, and there's more that are going to be added soon. They're also going to be adding a section for live plants. You guys know that I'm a plant nerd, and they just add an aquatic section too. So if you like plants and fish, Morph Market might be for you. And this site is no joke. Over 500,000 users every single month. So hit the link in the description and start with Morph Market today. Thanks for sponsoring today's episode. Let's just get back to, well, we're just doing more Morph Market stuff. So the next animal obviously is a Nile crocodile. I'm just kidding. Some of you got it. But let's go with something that looks like a crocodilian, and because we have quite a bit of money left, let's just spend half of the total budget on one animal. Let's call it a Borneo Earless Monitor. Now, Borneo Earless Monitors are freaking amazing. They're very difficult to find that are actually legal in the country, right? These are all US prices, and I'm using the US because that's where most of you guys are. I'm in Canada. I don't know if you knew this or not, but Morph Market's in Canada. So if you want to buy stuff, I'll be setting up a Morph Market shop. Okay, so anyway, moving on, earless monitors. These aren't very big. I mean, they're not the size of a crocodile or an alligator or anything like that, but the skin of these animals, the scales, look very kind of crocodilian-esque. They're the closest things to dragons that I've ever seen, but they're small. They're coming from places in Asia around that Borneo area, which is Indonesia, really, right? But either way, I saw one at a flea market, or a night market or day market, or whatever you want to call it, in Thailand. And I think it was like $140 US. Gonna guess that it wasn't there illegally. Gonna guess. Either way, if you want one of these, $5,000 is the one that I found. $5,000, one animal. And this is a captive bred legal animal that you can actually have, okay? Because they are protected, so we can't really scoop them up and bring them in anymore. We're not supposed to anyway. But I think that you'd want one because they're pretty simple to take care of. They're pretty hardy, especially if they're captive bred. They're amazing. I mean, look at these things. And I mean, given an aquatic setup, it doesn't, not fully aquatic, semi-aquatic. I mean, the diet isn't that difficult either. It's not too big. They don't like really hot temperatures. The humidity is going to be easy because it's going to be semi-aquatic setup. And it's going to be something your friends don't have. This is a wow animal. If anyone who loves reptiles, who knows reptiles, walks into a place and they see an earless monitor, they are going to sit there with their mouths on the floor. You're going to have to pick it up for them when they see one of these. Just a spectacular animal, something I would love to have one day. I don't even know if there's any legal ones in Canada, to be honest with you. No freaking idea. But I know there are some in the US, and thanks to Morph Market, we can see what the prices are. Some of them go for more than $5,000, and then some of them for less, but this is, I think, a good representation of what you'd find one at. So we've got $1,300 left. So let's go for something that is a snake species, that is a wow factor animal that's not going to break the bank. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to get a blackheaded python, obviously. Now, blackheaded pythons are in a family with Woma pythons, and what they have in common is something that is different than all other pythons, and that's that they don't have heat pits. So most animals, reticulated pythons, scrub pythons, ball pythons, all pythons have heat pits. And what they do is they use them like predator, right, to zero in on a heat signature. And then they hit this heat signature because they eat mammals. Mammals put off a heat signature, right? But these guys don't, because in the wild, they don't need to. They're gonna eat things like lizards and stuff like that. So obviously don't house your black-headed python with your frilled dragon, because your frilled dragon will disappear like a magician. You could name your black-headed python David Blaine, okay? Don't do that. Black-headed pythons get pretty big. They can have a crazy food drive, so be careful. They're very strong, they have big teeth, but they're amazing animals. And they're very expensive. And your friends probably don't have one. Black-headed pythons look very much like Wilma pythons with black heads. And then in Australia, because those people are absolutely off their rocker crazy people, decided that they're going to breed the blackheads out of the black-headed pythons. And now they have black-headed pythons that don't have black heads. You guys are in the best way. Absolutely insane. I'm so happy you people exist. You people, am I allowed to say that? Am I going to cancel like Don Cherry? Anyway, the point is, now we've got $100 left. Now, of course, we're not going to waste the $100. So I'm not going to pick a specific ad. I mean, you can see here that there's tons and tons for $100. If you narrow it down, you can literally pick all the animals that are listed for $100. But you can get some hybrids, for example. So some hybrid colubrids. That's probably what I would get. It's kind of like a Frankenstein, and one that will really last, right? There's Frankenstein animals like scaleless ball pythons that I don't really like because they have a tough life. Silky bearded dragons, another one. But there are hybrid animals, for example, like colubrids, where you take, say, a corn snake and a rat snake, or bull snake and a corn snake, or something like that. And they're pretty cheap now, and you can even get them with morphs. So there's your collection. There's the perfect $10,000 collection. How would you spend your money? For $10,000, what would you get? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you want me to build a $1,000 collection, $5,000, $50,000, $100,000? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to do it for you. Let me know. And of course, thanks for hitting like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for the Patreon supporters. You guys get videos early, discounts on merch, you guys get one-on-ones, all that and more for as little as $1 a month. And that's it, because I do videos on Mondays and Thursdays. That means I'll see you next year, actually, in the next one.